There's a certain type of politician who can look you dead in the eye after years of radicalism and just casually rewrite their own history like it's a rebrand. I'm talking about Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, of course. I saw this clip this week and I actually laughed out loud. Not because it's funny in a good way, because if you don't laugh, you'll start throwing things. Watch.
But the fact of the matter is that the momentum is on our side and that we're winning and that we've won the generational argument and that millennials are radicalized.
And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's interesting.
Tell me you're running without telling me you're running. Woke one was crazy. Cool. I'm really glad we cleared that up after the damage was already done. And the timing is almost too perfect because while she's out here laughing off the radical years like they were just a phase, she's also documenting her egg freezing journey on Instagram.
You're not alone. I also find the freak out around it pretty funny as well. I'm not gonna lie. Commentator that was like, what she's doing is peddling the dangerous lie that women can have it all. Can you believe that? You know, I find it very funny because the way of life that conservatives are trying to push out there, which is to marry young and have lots of kids at a young age, that is no threat to me. I celebrate it. If that is a choice that you are coming to freely and you feel good about it, that is no threat to me. But what I do find funny is that my choice is a threat to them.
Now, I want to be fair. I want to be measured. Sorry, guys. I want to approach this with grace and nuance. Just kidding. Let's get into it. We don't care. Like, genuinely. I promise you, the average person on the right is not losing sleep because AOC is getting hormone injections on Instagram. We're fine. You can freeze every egg you've got, knock yourself out. The only people treating this like a civilizational event are the ones who need every personal decision to be a political statement. And while we're on the topic of who is and isn't having kids, at this rate, the bigger long-term problem for the left isn't that conservatives feel threatened. It's that there might not be enough Democrats left to vote in 20 years. Because the same ideological package that treats early family formation like some kind of suspicious lifestyle choice is also the one producing the lowest birth rates in the country. As of 2024, roughly 75% of liberal women between 18 and 35 are childless, compared to about 40% of conservative women the same age. Married liberal women are 3 times more likely to be childless than married conservative women. Liberal women have a completed fertility rate of about 1.5 children. Conservative women, 2.1. Pro-Trump counties have birth rates 26% higher than pro-Harris counties. That gap was 8% in 2012. It's now 26%, and it's growing fast. So the egg freezing isn't just a personal quirk, it's a demographic statement. The left has decided that self-expression is the point, that children, family, continuity, those are the patriarchy's values. That a boss babe freezing her eggs at 36 to pursue a presidential run is aspirational. And I'm not even gonna be mean about it because honestly, from a purely political standpoint, maybe it works out for us. You cannot vote if you were never born. And the left is genuinely self-selecting out of the gene pool. The egg freezing just extends the runway a little, maybe. But here's where the egg freezing becomes genuinely sad. Bloomberg Business did a story a while back, I think it was in 2014, on the poster child for the Freeze Your Eggs, Free Your Career movement. So this woman who did everything right by the feminist playbook, she froze her eggs, built her career, came back for them. 2 eggs failed to survive the thawing, 3 more failed to fertilize, 6 embryos, 5 abnormal. The last one was implanted, and it failed too. And she apparently collapsed to the ground screaming, because that's what you get when you put your career over everything else and trust that science will fix the biology you ignored for 15 years. AOC said 6 years ago she couldn't afford egg freezing. It costs between $8,000 and $20,000, if not more. She's now a 4-term congresswoman making, $174,000 a year. So she absolutely can afford it now. She just waited. And now she's documenting it for content while she decides whether to run for president or not. This is what woke 2.0 looks like. Because here's what she's trying to do with the woke one was crazy comment. She's trying to distance herself from the actual record while keeping every single position. She's not moderating, she's just rebranding. That's all this is. And then there's a personal side of the rebrand. AOC is 36. She and Riley Roberts met in college, got back together years later, and got engaged in 2022. She never married him, and this week, right as she's going viral for freezing her eggs and making it everyone's business, reports confirm that AOC and Riley actually broke up about 2 years ago and called off the entire engagement. She hasn't addressed it. She didn't mention the poor guy once in the egg freezing video. She just lifted her shirt and started filming. And look, I don't enjoy getting into someone's personal life, but she put it online, so I'd say it's fair game. Also, and this is the part that actually matters for a potential presidential run, as long as they remained legally unmarried, Riley's stock trades and financial holdings stayed completely hidden from public disclosure. The House Ethics Committee has already rebuked her once for claiming he is her spouse when it gets her free Met Gala tickets and travel, but is not her spouse when it comes to financial disclosure. So she's been running a loophole, so to speak. And I think Ilhan Omar would be quite impressed. So engaged, but not married, now apparently broken up, freezing eggs, announcing it on Instagram, floating a presidential run. This is the woman who wants to run the most powerful country on earth. And she couldn't even figure out how to have a baby with a guy she's known since college. Also, for the record, you can actually be a Democrat and be married to a white guy, AOC. So if that was part of the concern, you're good. The white fiance was never the problem. The rest of the package might be. Anywho, while she's busy soft launching the Woke One Was Crazy rebrand, let's just quickly remember what Woke One actually looked like when she was fully in it. June 2020 on X, in her own words, defunding police means defunding police. It does not mean budget tricks or funny math. September 2020, during a House hearing, she was pushing the idea that white supremacy infiltration of policing was the defining issue of American law enforcement.
This problem is an issue. It's a matter of how we have allowed it to sustain for so long. Congress as well has been complicit, and our silence has allowed for more violence and continued generational trauma in our communities. The question was raised by the ranking member earlier. Why do we keep talking about this? We keep talking about this because we have not solved this problem. And I want to make very clear that when we talk about systemic racism, we aren't litigating the individual attitudes of any one officer. We can all exist in racist systems, and you do not have to be racist or consciously racist in order to participate in these systems. And
what? Anyway, on cancel culture, she said, the term cancel culture comes from entitlement. Odds are you're not actually canceled. You're just being challenged, held accountable, or unliked. Now, tell that to Jody Shaw. She was an administrator at Smith College who made one Facebook post saying she didn't want to discuss her whiteness as a condition of doing her job. One post and they forced her out. Or Mimi Groves got into the University of Tennessee on a cheerleading scholarship. These girls are serious athletes, a classmate held onto a 3-second video of her singing along to a popular song with a slur in it from 2 years earlier, waited until she got the scholarship, then released it. She was then forced to withdraw. These are AOC's productive conversations. These are her idea of holding people accountable. These are the people, the women, the left loves to claim they champion, whose lives got ruined while she's now laughing on national television about how woke one was just crazy. These things have consequences. I bet our friends over on the left will have a tough time with this one. But did you know that roughly 2,500 additional Black Americans were murdered in the immediate aftermath of summer 2020, the summer of love, as a direct result of the defund the police movement and the policing pullback that followed? 2,500. And that's just Black victims. It doesn't even count the Asian, the white, and Hispanic Americans killed in the same crime surge. So you know what? Shame on AOC for trying to walk away from that body count while keeping the same politics. Now, Wisconsin. What does Wisconsin have to do with any of this? Well, the same week AOC is rebranding, Francesca Hong, the lovely DSA candidate for Wisconsin governor who wanted to cancel your Thanksgiving, just narrowly lost her primary. Polls had her up by 20 to 30 points. She lost to Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley by about 4,000 votes. 5 of 9 USB sticks in Milwaukee contained audit logs instead of actual ballot results. You had a late night drop. NBC couldn't even explain it. Watch this.
Okay. Wow. What the heck just came in Brown? Which was that that was huge for her.
Yeah, so that was about 18,000 votes, and she nets 2,000.
Question. Was that that wasn't central count, was it?
It's possible. There's no remaining vote in Brown according to our counter. I'll check the check the website.
I said I want percent more, but now I do, because if that was central count, what was his percentage of that vote?
Let's take a look.
If this was central count, this is the question we're getting at from Milwaukee. If he just got buried in central count Green Bay.
It was 44 to 34. Hong over Crowley.
Okay, yeah, can we ask our decision desk what we think that was that just,
Yep.
And do we think there's central count left for?
Oh, this is good. They can't even ask about this, about what really happened artfully, because reality finally hit him and NBC that voter fraud could be real in American elections. And you can't spin this on Trump or the GOP because this happened in a Democratic primary election. So, did the Democrats steal the election from communist Francesca Hong? And on live TV, might I add? Oh, this is good. Was it the Democrat establishment schlonging their own insurgent communists to put up a more electable candidate? Honestly, make of it what you will. What I find most interesting is that she almost won. She canceled Thanksgiving. She apparently hates Valentine's Day because, I don't know, capitalism teaches you how to love. She hosted menstruation-themed dinners. She wanted to abolish the police and pack the Supreme Court. And she almost won a major Democratic gubernatorial primary while being this weird. The DSA machine is genuinely powerful, even when the candidate is a walking liability, which is exactly why what's coming in 2028 is not a joke. Because AOC learned what Francesca Hong didn't. Keep the position, change the packaging. Smile more, talk about eggs on Instagram. Don't say the quiet part out loud. A New Hampshire poll from July shows AOC leading the Democratic field with 22%. The Washington Post is running pieces lately about how this may be AOC's best chance in 2028. Polymarket has her at about 20% odds. I think last time I checked it was like 14. She's now at 20% odds of winning the Democratic nomination, above Gavin Newsom in California. These are betting markets, not polls, it's actual money. that's taking this seriously. James Carville said she has no chance, which, as a historical matter, is roughly the same thing people said about Trump in 2015. So, and here's the thing that should concern you. I've been saying that she's not actually moderating. The Tesla she drives is charged at a station in her building owned by Amazon. She lives above a Jeff Bezos-owned Whole Foods in Washington, D.C. She wanted to defund the police and then staged a fake arrest with fake handcuffs for the cameras. She grew up in Yorktown Heights, a leafy, wonderful suburb some 30 miles from the Bronx, not the Bronx. She claimed she couldn't see a garbage disposal before.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived. It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is.
You don't know how to use a garbage disposal, but you want to run the free world. Okay, got it. You can't tell me there were no garbage disposals in her childhood home or in her neighbor's childhood homes in Yorktown Heights. Come on. Every single thing is a performance. Woke 2 is Woke 1 with better branding and an Instagram egg freezing series. The radicalism did not go anywhere. The vocabulary got softer. The coalition got bigger, and the useful idiots got better at hiding what they actually believe until they're in power. And speaking of coalition, let's talk about who she's building it with, because this is where it stops being funny. The DSA and the Islamist movement that's taken over Democratic primaries from New York to Michigan have formed an alliance. You saw it in the Columbia encampments, you see it in Mamdani's coalition, you see it with AOC. They share one thing in common. They both hate the same institutions, the same civilization, and the same country, our country. But there's a problem because what they don't agree on is anything else. One side wants, I don't know, queer liberation. The other side would throw those people off buildings. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend, for now. And AOC is riding that coalition straight toward a presidential primary. So what does this coalition look like when the mask slips? Watch.
And, we have a unique responsibility to act from the heart of empire, the belly of the beast. The most important thing that we can do is take that empire down from within.
Our role ultimately is to facilitate our own empire's failure in ways that we can, ultimately to overthrow our own empire.
U.S. imperialism is not a thing that can be reformed away. It has to be overthrown through revolutionary struggle.
And to build a mass movement that can use the leverage of workers to hit the kill switch on American imperialism here within the American empire.
Well, there you have it. They're straight up telling us what they plan to do. The only problem is, what are they going to replace it with exactly? Because none of these communist losers have actually created a thing in their lives. But yeah, these are the people staffing these campaigns, knocking on doors, writing platforms, elevating candidates like Mamdani or Abdul El Sayed. AOC is just a more polished, media-trained face of that same machine. This is not progressive policy disagreements. This is open contempt for the country they want to govern. They don't want to reform America. They want to break it and rebuild something else in its place. They said it out loud, and then they run as Democrats. Meanwhile, the same network is elevating candidates who treat American law as optional and religious obligation as non-negotiable.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Question 755. When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law, what does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway. And I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
Okay, Oklahoma, I didn't know you had game like that. But all jokes aside, what he's arguing here is that the US banned Sharia law because of hate and discrimination, And the forces that banned it are the same forces that committed, I don't know, insert every historic evil. So essentially what he's doing is putting Sharia law in the same category of victimhood as historic American tragedies, which really is a perfect example of how illiberal movements use liberal politics as a Trojan horse to smuggle in authoritarianism. Because at the end of the day, it's what they want. The language is consistent throughout. It's a lifelong obligation, Sharia-compliant living, and a political project that treats American institutions as temporary obstacles. Now, the left in this movement, they don't need completely identical end goals. They just need the same short-term enemy, and right now, that enemy is the existing American order, the Constitution, the borders, the idea that this country belongs to the people who built it, and the people who assimilate into it. So yeah, AOC learned the lesson Francesca Hong didn't. Soften the language a little bit, smile more, laugh off woke one like it was a youthful mistake, but keep the same radical network underneath. Keep the same open hatred of the American system, just package it better for 2028. That's the play, because 2028 gives them an opportunity to usher in woke 2.0, and what could that possibly look like?
American melting pot. We do not want to melt into American society and disappear. We want to go into American society with Islamic ideals and revamp their thinking. We want to revamp them. We want to turn them into Muslim individuals. We shouldn't have feelings of a distaste for them or intolerance because they're potential Muslims.
Oh, goody. How exciting. Convert the host society from the inside. Make no mistake, this is the network AOC is tied to. Now, look, I know we got some issues on the right, a little bit of an internal war, and I get it. You got some Republicans in Congress making it way more difficult than it should to pass simple legislation. Like, come on, how hard is it to pass the SAVE Act, for crying out loud? And affordability, it's not looking too good at the moment. I'm still watching the White House and waiting to see where certain things go. I'm not going to pretend that everything is perfect, but we have to set this aside for a second and recognize what's coming if we don't come together and stop it. I already worry that it may already be too late, that this infiltration has been going on for too long, that it's already embedded. And it sure seems to be in way too many American communities. Because the bigger enemy is not just an Ilhan Omar or Francesca Hong or an El Sayed saying the quiet part out loud. The bigger problem is that they're getting smarter. AOC is the product of exactly this machine. She's just figured out that if you explain the real project too clearly, normal Americans will reject it. So the packaging changed, but the radical network stayed the same. And that's why 2028 matters. It's because they're learning. And this is also why we have to keep talking to people. Not the fully converted ones, that's a complete waste of time, but the ones still capable of hearing a contradiction, because I do think they're still out there. Because the left has put itself in an impossible position. You can't claim to stand for, I don't know, gay rights, female empowerment, free speech, freedom of expression especially, while partnering with movements that don't believe any of those things. You can't say no one is illegal and we love everyone while elevating people who openly talk about taking down a country from within and replacing its culture. Because that takedown, do you think it'll be peaceful? Do you think it'll be a peaceful takedown? Those things cannot coexist for long. And when you force people to look at both sides of that equation at the same time, some of them start to flinch. That's the pressure point. Make them reconcile the branding with the actual words. Most won't, but some will. Think of it like this. The radicals who say the quiet part out loud are useful. They test the temperature, they move the Overton window. But the real threat is the ones who watch those people get rejected and learn from it. The ones who understood that if you say, we need to take the empire down from within, normal people recoil. So instead, what do? You smile, you freeze your eggs on Instagram, you call the old version crazy, and you still keep the same network, the same donors, and the same long-term project. And while a lot of us on the right are busy fighting each other over process and purity and who disappointed us this week, that machine is still hiring, still canvassing, and still placing people, and still treating the Democratic Party like a host body. They don't need us to agree with them. They just need us distracted long enough. So yes, hold your own side accountable, demand better, but understand the asymmetry. One side is arguing over tactics. The other side is arguing whether the country should continue to exist in its current form. That is not the same fight. And if we keep treating it like it is, we're going to wake up one day and realize the soft rebrand worked. The radicalism never left, it just got better at smiling for the camera. Don't let the packaging fool you. And that's the reality check with Iulia.